Hey everybody, Jessica Levinson in for Harry. I'm a professor at Loyola Law School and I'm host of the podcast Passing Judgment. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the gag order that was imposed on the former president, on Trump, in the election interference case. So what are we talking about here? There were a lot of motions that were filed. There was a 2-hour court hearing. And what the judge overseeing this case, Judge Chutkan, said in response to the special counsel, the prosecution, asking to limit what Trump could say about the case, what she said is yes and no. She granted in part the prosecution's request for a gag order, and she denied it in part. I think she did something very smart, which is she gave a narrowly tailored ruling. She knows that we're concerned about the First Amendment when we talk about gag orders. I'll talk about that more in a minute. But what she said is the former president is limited from making disparaging and inflammatory and degrading remarks when it comes to the court staff, not the judge herself, but the court staff, when it comes to the special counsel and the special counsel staff, and when it comes to likely witnesses. All of that makes a lot of sense because those are all of the players that are really vital to the administration of justice, to this case being able to move forward and to making sure that people don't feel intimidated into either not testifying or not being able to do their jobs. Now, who did she say is not subject to this gag order? So who can the former president still talk about without any restriction? The current president, the Department of Justice, and the District of Columbia in general. He can say the District of Columbia is a cesspool. So again, I think what the judge did here is really a very smart balancing act. Judge Chutkan says, yes, with respect to, again, the court staff, the special counsel, and likely witnesses, but no with respect to everybody else. And the former President Trump immediately appealed this ruling, as we suspected that he would. But because she gave this narrowly tailored ruling, because she didn't give the prosecution everything they asked for, because she really just focused on the key players here, I absolutely expect that this ruling will be upheld. I think the appellate court that's going to look into this, the DC appellate court, will not rule in favor of the former president. So I said I'll talk to you in a moment about the First Amendment considerations. And actually, last night in class, one of my students asked me, how can it be that you can impose a gag order? That is the government, a judge, saying to a private citizen, you don't get to talk about these issues. And she's exactly right. But that's because the First Amendment is not absolute. It is limited. Our First Amendment rights can be limited if we think it's basically important enough, if there's a good enough government reason. And in this case, we think that good enough government reason is to be able to allow this case to proceed with the court staff not living under death threats or something just close to death threats, with the special counsel not being subject to disparaging and intimidating comments, and with witnesses not being chilled into not testifying. And so gag orders themselves are not all that rare. And everything about this case is not typical, but having a gag order in and of itself is not a blue moon situation. Now, I think for this gag order and for many others, the devil is really in the details, because what we need to know, and what I think Judge Chutkan's order didn't fully flesh out because maybe it's impossible to do so, is exactly what type of statements will violate this order. Now, we know there will be some kind of exaggerated examples that will absolutely violate them, but what about some statements that Trump will make that come closer to a gray area? What is she going to do in those situations? And then if she finds that the gag order is violated, what's the penalty? And what I want to tell you is typically a penalty will start with a fine. And then what could the next penalty be if there are repeated violations? Well, there's always the possibility of incarcerating somebody, saying that they are found in contempt of court, that they violated the gag order, and that they could be sent to prison. Again, that is kind of a nuclear option here. So in a nutshell, That's what this gag order is about. That's what it says. That's what it doesn't say. We talked a little bit about the appeal, and we talked about why I think it will be upheld and why it does not, in fact, violate the former president's First Amendment rights. So I hope that helped, and I'll talk to all of you again soon.
Hey everyone, Harry here. Hope you're enjoying the content from all the friends of our channel, great experts in their fields all. I want to thank them for stepping up to the plate while I'm away. I'll be back soon, and I'm looking forward to resuming the daily videos. Talk to you later.